Everyone, when you're listening to this, it might be a little late for when the news was announced, but I want you to know that that's just because that's how it came up in the posting schedule, because I'm going to be cheersing to this every night and every day for the rest of my life, because he's dead. Rush Limbaugh's dead, dancing on his grave, dead. I'm going to drink a Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. I'm going to find his grave, and I'm going to fill the piss man's coffin with piss from Miller High Life champagne and bray. And then I'm going to do a jig because Rush Limbaugh's, he's dead.
He is dead.
Fucking dead.
Very dead. There's still some good news to look forward to. He's going to be buried somewhere, and sooner or later that place is going to be unguarded. So
yeah,
like that's
I hear a listener challenge. Like we could do like a crazy Andy Saturday. Who could be the first to desecrate?
Do you dance on it? Do you piss on it? What do you do?
Just do it for the gram. Take a picture of it.
Do it for the gram.
So we can call you a fucking hero because he's dead. Okay. He's dead as hell. All right. Spencer, thoughts?
He's dead, and typically I'm not for celebrating the death of another human, but Rush Limbaugh doesn't qualify as a human, so here we are.
And we're there. We're there. We even have most normal man in the world is on our side. He sucked, and we're all better for him being in the ground. Huzzah! Glass sound. Tink. Hey everybody, I'm Caleb.
I'm Spencer.
And this is the Mix 6, where we drink 6 beers, have 6 conversations, rate them on a 5-point scale, occasionally wish dead Republicans a very good burn in hell. And that's hopefully a tradition I personally think we should keep going further into the future. But that's just me. I don't speak for the entire podcast. Speaking of not speaking for the entire podcast, this is a free episode, and we like to put our best foot forward, and that's why we have a bona fide Spencer Harris rating system. So I'm going to kick it over to my partner.
It's not quite food month yet, so I'm not allowed to express my best self. So I'm kind of edging at food month a little bit here. Okay. So my rating system for today.
I set you up for that?
Well, I'm just
what
like,
I get.
I'm kind of like right there, but not quite. And so my rating system for today is tea flavors that I've recently tried. Tea flavors that I've been drinking a lot of tea lately. Been drinking a lot of tea.
God, you're like if khaki was a person.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me sometimes.
Caleb, as an honorary Australian, you should be more approving of tea. Like this is
tea's great.
Yeah.
Tea's great. Now, I used to drink tea as a supplement to coffee, so I didn't want as much coffee. I drink some green tea. I've really expanded now to just enjoying tea flavors.
Tea's great.
Tea's great. And you know what? It's nice to have a hot beverage. I don't like a cold tea. Love a hot tea, though. Love a hot tea.
I like cold tea in the summer.
Yeah, I wish I could. I just don't. I don't think the flavors is good. So
I always wondered why both of your webcams were you wrapped in shawls.
Right.
Holding like tiny little cups against the cold of your village.
Right.
But now the imagery of my little babushka hosts makes so much more sense, grandmas. Oh, yes.
Tea in one hand, knitting in the other two. So
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Keeping it tight. So teas I've tried recently. So a tea that I tried recently, and typically I'm for like more organic spiced flavors, but on accident, we ordered some tea called Throat Coat, which is like echinacea and some soothing lemony type things. Terrible. It was awful. It was the worst thing I've ever had. Do not drink a tea.
Something we find on Mars Tube.
Yeah, don't drink a tea or maybe gross. Anything called Throat Coat. Okay, don't. 2. Now we're into like more stock tea flavors. Lemon ginger. I don't like the combination of these things, folks. I do like lemon and I do like ginger, but these are not two things that should ride in the same car, I believe. And so it's just too much of everything, not an enjoyable flavor.
You just lost the entire audience. Lemon ginger throat drops are what save lives during a convention.
Maybe, but I don't want it as a hot tea. It's not been good. But it's
The
you know
hot
what's better
tea
than?
is what you need for the emergencies. Like,
Yeah, the hot tea is nice though, and you know what it's better than? Throat coat.
Well,
So
what
we're
is
on to
it,
3.
Spencer? That's not a high bar to clear. Like,
Well, then I feel safe. My
Probably
rating
black
system
licorice.
Is,
I'm sure there's a licorice tea.
yeah, would have been awful. Would have been
you
awful.
would
I would've
rather
hated that.
have your throat coated than have black licorice?
Maybe. I mean, I'd at least try it to see if it was worse than.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on. What's the
yeah.
next one?
3. Now we're into the stock, like what you expect when you drink tea. While I don't really like lemon and ginger together, you know what I really like? Just a straight ginger tea. Man, a hot ginger tea really does the job. It's nice, aids in digestion, goes down smooth, and if you get the right kind, because I've had multiple kinds of ginger tea, if you get the right kind, it's delicious. It's not too gingery. It's just the right amount of spice. So I'm really enjoying ginger tea. I drink one after almost every meal now. It's been such a pleasure. Such a welcomed addition to my life. And my 34-year-old digestion system, it needs the help, honestly. So,
Oh my God.
So drink ginger tea, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay, 4. Now we're getting into the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We got some spiced
Can we
apple
handle
stuff. Well, probably not. We got some
Yours not
spiced
time
apple
for bed? It's almost
from
5.
Tivana, and it's delicious. It's delicious. I love a spiced apple candle. And so this is a nice way of translating that into a warm little spiced apple treat that you can keep on your desk and
We
sip
used
it
to
in.
tie one to our belt. It was the style at the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then 5, and this has almost become a dessert for me. I do this of an evening to reward myself for a nice day. Wild sweet orange. My goodness. What a gift to both tea and to us tea consumers. It is.
You have that one after you put Brandy to bed after you remind her of your lives together with the notebook. And
that's
then,
right.
You hold hands as the fucking caretaker plays in the background.
Well, how else are you going to replenish after doing a puzzle? You need a wild sweet
You
orange
don't have
tea.
to because it's the final good night. Because you just had your wild sweet orange tea. Can your digestion handle it? It's way
sweet
above
orange?
ginger.
Well,
all right?
it's not bad for it, but it doesn't aid. And I mean, it's not a support system. I mean, it's just, it doesn't have any probiotics in it, for example. It's just a good flavor. Just a good flavor. So anyways, that's how we're going to rate beers today. And on that note, I'm going to go grab my first one and we'll be right back with Dissecting Our Fun. And we're going to talk about board games.
Spencer, what are you drinking?
Well, it's been a minute. And so I thought, what better way to celebrate my incredibly robust, comprehensive, and coherent rating system than to open a Stillwater. And
There
Stillwater,
he's still got a little outlaw in him. He's still willing to ride the Stillwater dragon.
they've leaned into their own bit. This is called Stillwater's Why Can't I Be You 2020. It is a double dry hopped farmhouse pale ale.
You do not want to see double dry next to Stillwater. I'll tell you that from experience.
Also, I like the idea
That was the
Stillwater,
early days before the Stillwater redemption. But yeah.
Why did they feel the need to make a beer celebrating 2020? I would argue that 75% of their catalog is just 2020 as a flavor. And so I don't think they needed to call it out so explicitly in one product. Yep, it smells like a pale ale, by the way. So that's exciting.
It's going to do more than smell like one.
Yeah, double.
You strap in for that ride. God bless you.
Farmhouse pale. That's not a great combination.
He had the right stuff.
Middling
He drank
it.
it.
Oh no.
Doesn't seem too bad.
Yeah, it's not getting a visceral reaction. Or is it?
I gotta be honest about something. But for the carbonation of it, it's too frothy. It's too hard to drink out of the can. That is a very good beer. It is. So part of the problem for me with pale ales is that almost and exclusively they go too hard in the paint too quickly. There's just no subtlety. It's like, oh, you're drinking a beer. Did you want it to taste like this? And that's it. Just all pale ale all the time. But the farmhouse the kind of like weird, more aromatic, a little bit like funky and airy, sits on top of the pale ale and actually cuts that. So you get the bottom of the pale ale, but on top of it, you're getting Farmhouse and some double dry hopped, like really aromatic, almost floral flavors. And it's really very, like, I really like this beer. I would go actively buy this beer. And I don't know how I feel about that. That makes me feel weird in places in my body I didn't know existed. I'm going to take one more drink to see if the frothiness has calmed down, because let me make my intentions clear. I am waffling between a 4 and a 5 on this.
Damn.
And if I can get a better pull of it, it will be a 5. If it remains to be too fizzy, it will be a 4. So una momento.
Do you think pouring into a glass would help with that, Caleb, in terms of the frothiness?
I mean, we could never know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. The glasses are all the way in there. Yeah, I'm here. See,
might as well be on Mars, man.
Here's the thing. I actually
gone too far.
Fair.
It's not necessarily a problem. So, like, sometimes frothiness is an issue because it's a barrier when it hits your lips. Like, you cannot get enough. This is a more like, it is a carbonated, or once it gets in your mouth, it froths quickly, and so it's a 4.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you something. It could have been a 5 in a different world, and maybe in a glass or off of the tap. This
in a world in which glasses existed and we could use them to pour beers into, which obviously isn't the case.
We can't do that, so we just have to imagine.
But 4 is still pretty good. So,
I mean, for a Stillwater beer named after 2020, this is some Twilight Zone shit.
Yeah. All right. That was a lot of you using the term frothy. So we're going to move on to Dissecting Our Fun, in which Joey Rogers suggests many board games come with plastic tokens, miniatures, or other game pieces. Though these pieces make great presentation, they can drive the cost of games up, sometimes significantly. With 3D printers becoming more and more affordable and accessible, how viable do you think lower-priced versions of games that supply files for 3D printing these pieces will become? And could this one day be the norm? Could home 3D printing also change the way enhanced pieces, such as broken token products, fit into the board game ecosystem?
I don't spend as much time in the tabletop RPG space, but I know enough and follow enough people who do that I can already tell you that 3D printing maybe revolutionized, maybe too strong a term to describe its role in the TTRPG space, but certainly enhanced. Is pushing forward the TTRPG space. I don't see any reason why. Well, that's not true. I see reasons why this could innovate the board game space in the same way that print and play files as Kickstarter promises or as Kickstarter options have revolutionized or at least made more accessible some board games to some people. I think one of the problems here is that unlike TTRPGs, board games are going in the opposite direction of simplicity in many ways. They're going to highly packaged, highly bespoke, very intricate models. And so you think about the Gloomhavens of the world, you think about Scythe, Concordia, and not to just talk about Jamie Stegmaier. Certainly games that are based on other IP, Big Trouble in Little China, Hellboy, et cetera, which have all been incredibly popular, incredibly high-grossing Kickstarter projects over the last couple of years or self-funded projects. These are all about companies providing to you pieces printed specifically for the lore, the function of their game. And I don't know that a lot of board game companies that are producing things right now would slash that part of their production operation and by extension profit, revenue at least, for giving out 3D printing files. That's not to say people won't do it. And I think over time it won't have the net effect of diminishing the impact or value of some of that stuff that comes in the box. But for now, I don't think it will have the same offset effect as it maybe could in other spaces.
Yeah, I can only see one way in which this works, and it's kind of a nightmare dystopia. So
don't know.
I'm kind of loath to say it aloud, at least like Game Workshop swoop in and be like, yes, make things worse. But so here's the thing. Shipping's not going to get better, especially any kind of middling operation, any kind of middling war game in which pieces are being repurposed from some other game, or a limited print run or something from a mini house. Shipping fucking sucks, and it's going to get worse and more unpredictable, and especially with plague all the fucking time. So I don't see companies that are really big giving out 3D print model stuff and not enforcing IP like your Games Workshop and shit, or your Reaper and shit. And then secondly, if you're a low level, I don't see you wanting to fuck with shipping. So I do see a place when you could like, you make an understanding that we're not going to have any more Hellboy games or Batman games very long, because shipping that fucking tanker truck full of minis to fucking Canada or someplace in the Netherlands is going to be $1 billion and take 4 years. We start recognizing that those guys have a lot of money and a lot of space to collect monies in the first place, and we start expecting them to have 3D printers and do that kind of shit. I could see you making it worth some sort of dystopian, like, hey, you back our Kickstarter, you get all our 3D models, and then you become a vendor for us, and then you can sell shit on Etsy. Like, I could see some sort of nightmarish, like, buy a franchise and printing this game from your 3D print shop, like some WeWork Uber, but for 3D printing all over the world to minimize shipping.
Crowdsourcing, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, like, I think the 3D printing thing in terms of piracy is just going to take off whether you have your hand on it or not, because the fact of the matter is there's a material reality. And the material reality is that if I ever do a Kickstarter again, the amount of money I have to make before I consider doing anything that involves shipping myself and isn't POD, that amount of money is astronomical and getting higher every day. When like, oh, that boat from China, what with all them shipping containers, gone now. Like, just poof, like, or, oh, the Republicans actually decided we're building a wall around the Atlantic. Like, like, I don't want to rely on those things anymore on my Kickstarter profits. And I don't know how long people will continue to do that, because the big guys don't need to, and the small guys can't afford to.
Well, I think that's sort of a limited view, Caleb, because 3D printing is changing it because for one thing, I think 3D printing is already creating a new space within board gaming to accessorize and mod games. Like, I mean, we're doing, instead of broken token stuff, people are making their own accessories or customizing or creating house rule versions of games with new tokens. So it's not an all or nothing thing. And I think obviously there's a business.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, okay. I was talking about it from a company's perspective. I think that's going to happen any way you cut it.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't think you're going to stop that. So it's either get yourself cut out of the equation, because backing the Kickstarter means I also need to pay you $5,000 to ship me a baby coffin's worth of plastic miniatures. Or wait, here's the entire thing pirated online. I'll just take that and 3D print it. Thank you very much. I think that's the choice they have to make. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, you either can be part of it, and it's part of the way that you help your company be supported, and you're like open about that, because you don't want to like do it for fucking free. And I certainly understand that. But you also have to acknowledge that you can't beat piracy by yourself.
Sure.
Or you can like, be 40K, which is like buy this new army every 3 seconds. And weird, people found a way around that on tabletops. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I think we're sort of like in the mid to late 90s in terms of comparison. Like, think about what the internet was in the mid to late 90s. And I think that's where 3D printing is now. So I think in 10 or 20 years, we're like, the technology is just going to keep getting better and better. But until, like, I don't think it's going to be a casual thing until a person can push a button and then, like, you know, and then the next
night,
not know
anything about filaments and not have
exactly. And then they can have a game to play. But like, I think there is going to be a space for people who do make games that are just 3D printer. Like, I've already seen some that's like, hey, here's a mini system and here's our 3D minis files. Just make whatever, or use whatever file, models you want. I think it
kind of suggested it as an Etsy thing, because there is such a physical skill still required to 3D printing, that I think if you wanted to encourage and spread it around, you could make it part of that Etsy home piecemeal work, grind for people because.
And I think
God knows I monetize my hobbies.
Yeah.
I think about walking down the like vendor or artist aisles, like at Gen Con or Origins. And Ross, to your point, I don't think we're too far off from the artist, like the art and vendor rows being more oriented to this kind of stuff as 3D printing does become more accessible and people can do higher quality versions of it and sell it as accessories to games. I mean, in some ways, there's no fundamental difference between that and me going to Broken Token or one of these other vendors and trying to buy upgraded components for Concordia, right? I mean, I think that these things will impact the landscape in that way. I don't think, though, game producers are going to move in that direction because as I think back to the last Gen Con I attended, which I think was the last Gen Con that we had because last year was out, I've been surprised both times I've been to Gen Con at what feels like how inordinate a space at that convention is taken up by figurines, tokens, accessories, not games. And in some instances, how some of these larger
40-yard by 40-yard miniature battle enactment of whatever the fuck. Yeah. And so, and I think that there are still large enough companies that are relying on charging greater than you should pay for a board game numbers for people to get the whole thing in the box. And then if you want to paint the minis, great. And if you don't want to paint the minis, that's okay too. It's part and parcel of the project, which is why you're going to spend $100 for Big Trouble in Little China rather than 20 and print it yourself. Hey, are you talking about wagon people? We know my feelings about wagon folk.
I mean, I didn't want to do that, here we are.
I'm on record as how I feel about the wagons in the convention space.
Yes.
The only way I can do it is to lean in now. Except for Evan the wagon guy. He's cool. But
for Evan the wagon guy.
He's the exception, damn it.
I do think, Ross, though, that you're right that like we're probably at about boom period wherein at some point here in the next couple of years, we're going to be shocked at how diffuse this is a technology in the board game space. And I already am interested. Like if people came to me and said, hey, you love Scythe. I 3D printed some Scythe minis that are cooler than the ones you have. Do you want to pay for them? 100% I want to pay for them.
Yeah, friend of the show, Baz, has already astounded us with his 3D printing skills. We're like, see him on a webcam.
I mean,
he's got the fucking robot from Rocky IV behind him. And he's just like, oh, what? Polly's robot? Don't worry about it. I just 3D printed it. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
The thing, Spencer, that's a really good point. I think in a couple of years, we may see like entirely new types of tabletop games that could only exist because of 3D printers. Imagine like a game where there was like a system to build a mini, and you could point cost it so it was always balanced, but then you design your own minis. And
if you guys play table spears, it's like lawn darts, but more dangerous.
Yeah.
Come on.
But imagine that, like it's got like a trading card component game, like where you design something or you build a deck or in this case a miniature or some sort of thing, and then like you could always verify that it's balanced, and then you could just go hog wild, and then maybe there's a website or an app that lets you design it without having to be a designer. It's like an assembly line thing, kind of like the 3D Hero Forge or whatever it is, Hero Forge, I think, that lets you create your own mini. So imagine a game around that. And so people just make their own minis, and then people like.
Hey, you could also go to Gen Con, stand in a line for 4 hours, pay an exorbitant amount of money to have your face 3D scanned, and then maybe get a miniature about it 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Consider that.
Yeah. But I think the infrastructure for that, the technology for that, will create new possibilities. So yeah, I mean it's. We're still in the Sandra Bullock, the net era of this boom, if you want to do a comparison. So
I only want to do comparisons based on Sandra Bullock movies.
Okay, we can do that.
This is a Sandra Bullock fan cast now.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, I need a beer before we talk about legally what. No, that's the other one.
Miss Congeniality.
Miss Congeniality is what I'm talking about. The Heat's good too.
The Heat's great. Speed. We're not fucking talking about Speed on this podcast.
Oh yeah, Speed's great. Yeah,
wow, I just brought up.
Well, I need beer. There's too many.
All right.
Caleb, what are you drinking?
I am going to drink from Maplewood Brewing Company out of Chicago. It says brewed in Chicago for good folks everywhere. The Fat Pug Oatmeal Milk Stout. It's got a pug on it with like.
I would hope so.
I don't care for the name of that beer. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I'm like particularly offended in the name of pugs.
We've had a bad animal-based system.
Yeah,
most of the time, if there's an animal in the can, we're in trouble. Like,
and dogs in particular.
Yeah, dog like leg humper is what comes to mind when you have a dog on your beer. That's perhaps unfair, but I was traumatized by.
It was a lot.
Offensive.
I think that's fair. You don't have to. You don't have to sugarcoat it, Caleb.
And I've never seen a thin pug, so it's not like I think I take umbrage with it. It's just I don't know. Maybe it's the dog thing.
Really? Is this the exception that proves the rule?
Well, it goes heavy in the oatmeal, and by oatmeal, it really tastes of like farmers market oatmeal, like not a lot of sugar added, very like whole wheaty oats, and that kind of goes with a stronger alcoholic. I think this is. What percent is this? This is almost 6%. So that is pretty high for what is a milk stout. But by attaching it to sort of this farmer market oat, the alcoholic stringentness, it kind of works for me. I like it. I feel like I'm ready to get good and drunk before I go out and work on the frozen plains. Yeah, I like it. It's very good. I give it a 4.
Oh, wow.
It has been frozen plains around here. Today's like the first day that we've had something that looks like normal sunlight in what feels like 7 months. So
yeah, I mean, it's a milk stout for when you want to get after it, but turns out I want to get after it.
I was going to say that, it feels like that comes up a lot.
Rating system. So anyway, what we're talking about today is, again, one of your perennial segments. You're constantly raving for
a favorite
of the fan base that we just can't get away from. So we begrudgingly return to Battle Try, where we, of course, launch into our battle cries. Chris Reed has suggested, fuck it, it's time to battle. Declare your battle cry and pair it with a frothy ale to call upon the gods before entering the melee. As is known, we have to answer every challenge if verbally challenged to prove ourselves in battle, not physically, never physically. We don't do we don't do the physical challenges, but verbally we'll be your Huckleberry. We're there for it. So here in Battle Try, we're about to launch into verbal fisticuffs. Spencer, announce your house before launching yourself into the melee.
House Murray, obviously, and making us both adorable and also surprisingly aggressive. As I thought about my battle cry, I couldn't ignore my deeply Midwestern roots. That's where I am. That's who I am. That's where I'm from. That's how I be. And we in the Midwest believe in doing things on principle. And we also simultaneously believe in apologizing for those things and for those principles. And so my battle cry would be, I'm sorry in advance, and I hope we're all better for this. And then I would slam a prairie Christmas bomb, and then I would just lightly jog out towards the battlefield to engage in a battle of wits.
So mine has a lot of requirements. I mean, I need to make it clear that I'm fighting for the people.
Sure.
And that this violence is necessary for the revolution.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I need to acknowledge how ridiculous I will look while engaging in this war cry and attack. So as to let people know that I'm sort of in on the joke. But what really matters is our march towards victory. And also I need to motivate myself.
Right.
In order to do all these things. So I'm going to start with the beer. I'm going to go with Side Project Sauvignon Blanc, which I believe I gave a 4, and is, of course, a heavily wine and champagne influenced brand of beer. Because wine gets me fighting drunk. If I know anything about Caleb, it's that one glass of wine is other people's a whole bottle of tequila for Caleb. So I need a wine-based beer for it. And then my battle cry is going to be, that's not your purse. Of course, quoting Bobby Hill, because that is roughly what I will look like. Sort of that crossed with the Star Wars kid And it also has Marxist connotations because the purse is our exploited labor that we must take back from the...
You're telling the state that's not your purse.
Yeah, I'm telling the state that's not your purse, and then going for the junk. Yeah. So that's my...
No, I get it. Well, what I like about it is that you're telling the state that's not your purse while you're drinking. Maybe the most difficult to find proto example of consumer-based capitalism as a beer. And so really the grand egg of all of it will also function like an atomic bomb on the field.
Look, man, if the Capitol riots taught me anything, it's that Karens with too much Riesling can get anything done. It hulks them out like superpowers, and they'll charge it with bullets like child soldiers in some sort of obscure African war tragedy. Like they will just, I am invincible, for I had a gigantic bottle of Riesling, and now I will rescue you from the pedophiles. Oh, wait, I got shot. So look, I know I need to be motivated like that, but he didn't say I could have wine. So I got to get as close as I can with the wine-based beer. Yeah.
All right.
You found it.
Yeah.
You found it.
Yeah.
Ross?
Okay, so I like the Caleb idea of having something to drink. So obviously, for me, that would be Malort. I would take a long shot from the bottle, looking my enemy directly in the eye.
Producer Ross is winning.
Yeah. And I pull that, and I think, my battle cry is obvious. Hey, this is Ross Payton with Roleplay Public Radio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a weaponized.
I have a banner. I have a banner.
Oh yeah, you could.
Yeah, I literally have a banner.
House on it. Yeah, Micah could be there waving it back and forth.
Yeah, see, I have a banner carrier.
Bending because it's just ridiculously heavy to hold up. It is quite the workout.
Yeah. So in terms of maybe we could workshop a few different ones. I also thinking maybe just screaming at aesthetics, or no reason, like the great movie Rubber. Why does anything happen? No reason. So we'll see what creates the most fear and anxiety in my enemy's eyes.
A cornucopia of options.
Yeah, cornucopia, but essentially, house aesthetic terrorist.
Everyone vote for who'd win, which is how we end every battle try segment.
Obviously,
because we won't actually physically do anything. Never.
Yeah.
No. The winner gets a nothing.
Yeah, winner gets nothing. But
the respect of the listeners.
Everything. Yeah. All right. So let us know. # Team Caleb. Don't type anything else on Twitter. And producer Ross needs a beer.
Weird.
Producer Ross, what are you drinking?
Hoppin Frog has a King Gose salted caramel ale brewed with natural flavors, 6%. We've only had a Hoppin Frog once before, according to the spreadsheet. So,
I've never had a Gose and thought, you know what's missing here? Salted caramel. And so this is just not. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
No, that's not right.
No, it's not. Ugh. That is a one that coated my throat with
ooh.
Yeah,
it's a fast one. You don't give ones lightly.
No, it's just a bad reaction.
You gave Malort like a 4.
No, I didn't.
Please, you enjoyed Malort.
No, so I don't.
It's on the microphone, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, you can't retcon that.
Yeah, the whole thing is like I've never had a Gose and thought more salted caramel, and I've never had salted caramel and thought, this would be better if it were a sour beer. Yeah. So I just think the whole thing was kind of like a bad idea.
The beer hole tried to cough up a pickle Gose for me today, and I was just like, no.
Oh, I would absolutely drink a pickle Gose.
I know, man. You gave it to me intentionally.
Oh, no. Yeah. What a mistake. Well, I don't take blame for that.
It does taste like caramel, but it's just not good. It's just does what it says on the tin. It's just
also not a good thing. Caramel's not very good. So
it's fine.
There's that.
As a candy, it's fine, but yeah. I'm not going to defend it.
We're into Armchair Director, which is earnestly a genuine segment on this podcast for 4.5 years running, and you voted for it.
Just like they all are.
Just like they all are. We've never done a new segment. There is no such thing as time. This is you've always been here, Jack. This is your number one vote getter, Armchair Director. And Copper Crane asks, best movies to watch through the internet with friends during a pandemic. And lo and behold, you have asked some real experts on this topic, not me.
It's Spencer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What do you got, Spence?
I would say something probably really complex and long. I recently watched Tenet, and I would definitely want to watch that with other people, and I would certainly want to watch that again. I
also like bad movies with my friends.
I am joking, but I did not care for Tenet. I don't think. Maybe I did. I don't know.
You're not invested in the fate of
the protagonist.
Yeah.
I have never either felt dumber or smarter after a movie than watching Tenet, and I don't know which one.
It depends on whether you paid for it or not.
Hello.
I didn't.
Well, then you should feel great.
Yeah.
You did it the right way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's bad. You should watch bad things with your friends and burrow into, but you shouldn't do it for money. You should watch bad things with your friends and make fun of it and just burrow endlessly into inside jokes until you pierce the veil of reality. That is what I have decided.
Actually, good movies are okay, but like good movies.
That's also fine, but you got to let it come organically.
Yeah. Definitely organically. Come up with themes, go through movie series. There are some good movies that were released last year that are good. Like one specific movie I think everyone should watch is Psycho Goreman. Psycho Goreman is a tour de force, just a masterclass in comedy and acting and drama. It's got it all, plus a lot of really cool prosthetic effects. Look,
the operative word is with your friends, and it should be very clear at all times when you pick a movie that the goal is to be with your friends, and the movie is an excuse to do so.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I think that's the trick.
No one should ever get angry that you're talking over something.
Exactly. Preferably have turn subtitles on so people can follow along. That's just nice, especially internet connections being what they are.
Much like a board game, watching a bad movie together in a Discord chat is a curated social experience.
Social event.
That has a pace and rules and things that develop organically based on whatever you're doing.
It's comfort food movies, essentially, are the best kind of things. And also weird, just like train wreck movies, Neil Breen movies, The Room.
Yeah, so if you're going to take it seriously, don't watch it there. Like you can take it seriously and like it, but you can also have seen it so many times that it doesn't matter if you talk over it. That would be the kind of good movie you'd want to watch. I think otherwise you just want to be there for your friends and not for the movie. In fact, quite the opposite. The worst ones are often better. Yeah.
Godzilla movies. There's so many of them.
Watch all the Zatoichis there. I just killed a year of your life. It's gone. There's
Lone Wolf and Cub.
Fucking 80 of them. Get the Criterion and just immerse yourself in blind masseuses.
1980s Italian sci-fi and horror. You're like,
definitely.
Argento, Fulci. Just have fun. And obviously if these are the kind of movies you enjoy anyway, like if you're the kind of person who enjoys like Spencer, what are your kind of comfort food movies?
So I like watching like Edgar Wright films for comfort. So like Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Ghostbusters, like the Marvel movies are comfort food for me. I know them. I enjoy watching them. The weird thing for me is that like watching movies generally is not really a social experience for me. And so if I'm not going to the Alamo, like I don't really sit down and watch movies with other people, but for my wife. And like I can count on my hand the number of times in the last couple of years I've sat down as a social thing and watched a movie with other people. And I think Caleb is in like every one of those instances. And that's largely because he functionally obligated me to watch Batman versus Superman one time just so he could watch me watch Batman versus Superman.
God, it was great.
And it's just
leave your eyes. It was beautiful.
So like the whole thing for me is like if I were going to do it, I would do it because I wanted to talk to other people. There's also the bad version of this for me is everyone thinking they're capable of being on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and that ruins the social experience for me. And so there's a real like narrow window here where I'm like, this was a good thing to do. And in all other instances, I'm frustrated because I'm not watching the movie or because it's impossible to actually have a conversation with people. And so this one's trickier for me.
Hey, hot take. Get a tub master. Burke is a capricious god. If you talk too much, he'll mute you. Like he just doesn't care.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, there's no room for debate. I think that's another way to like, you don't even have to pick new movies. Just watch Shawshank Redemption. Just call your movie hangout. This is TNT circa 1992 to 2017 and just watch the Shawshank Redemption on repeat every night and talk to your friends.
Interspersed with episodes of Friends.
Oh,
yeah, like watch all of Scrubs there. You're going to be together for 9 years because they made too much of it.
But before you do that, specifically watch the movie Deadly Lessons. Everyone on the planet should watch that. It's beyond description. Just watch it. Don't.
Just curate it because the point is the interaction. If someone's a little chatty, calm them down. The point's not the movie. Like the point, Mystery Science 3000 is trying to sell the movie. If we spend the entire time exchanging fucking sourdough starter recipes over The Room or whatever, that's just the way it went that night, baby. Like you got to be cool with it. So
and now you got some bread.
It's not about the movie. It's about hanging out with your friends. Hanging out.
Yeah, like Birdemic. Another thing is, aside from just movies, like eventually you could just watch weird YouTube videos. I know YouTube is an unfamiliar thing to you, Spencer, but
unfamiliar. Don't know what you're talking about.
He
has watched 6 hours of it.
Yeah,
you can be on 2 internet things at once.
You can actually be on 2 internet things at once. So watch just weird, whatever kind of YouTube videos you all like.
Tim Rogers would be my suggestion.
Yeah, exactly. You could watch Tim Rogers. You could watch, but things without a lot of dialogue are better in general because you want to be able to talking. So like just even dumb meme compilations or fail compilations or weird cooking videos. And I'll leave it at that for weird cooking because that's a broad topic. And just discover it for yourself.
That sounds sinister.
Yeah.
What you just said.
Yeah.
It was sinister sounding.
Oh no, I didn't mean that.
What
but
have you done?
I'm sorry.
Maybe.
But so, it's also maybe intriguing. Maybe like, what is this mystery? What is weird?
Who can know? Really, you just got to Google it or YouTube it.
YouTube it. Yeah. Find out how the sausage is made. Hey,
we have to get out of this segment immediately.
I'm leaving, so that'll help. I'm gonna go get another beer.
Spencer, what are you drinking?
So you remember when we used to do this podcast at Ross's house?
God, no.
It was a long time ago.
We can't talk about the before times.
Right. And one of my favorite things to do before going to Ross's house to record, other than getting pre-drunk, which was the best thing to do, was to go to the price cutter down the street to pick up what we were going to drink for the day. Because they actually had like a nice little build your own 6-pack collection and you could buy singles. And using that method, we ran through every Crane Brewing beer that was produced for like a solid year. And it just so happened that like literally every one of them was a different fruit-themed Gose. Yeah. And so all we could do for a while, we could just distinguish Crane beers by colors. Like, oh, you mean the blue one? Because there was no other way of knowing
lavender. It was more of a,
right. Kind of a soft purple.
Yeah, like a dreamsicle. We had no idea what to call them.
So then when you brought me this new haul for beer, I pulled out a Crane bottle that has a cat on it and is not some like odd geometric shape and or bright color.
Yeah, called origami.
Called a Minette, a barrel-aged Grisette-Style Ale Bottle Conditioned with Brettanomyces. And I'm excited to know that Crane makes any other beer. And I'm excited to drink this beer. And actually, I think it was Weiss's. They were doing Weiss's, right? Not Goses, like Tea Weiss, Orange Weiss. That was their bit. So anyways, this is not any of that.
They got mad rhymes, too. Minette, Grisette. pirouette.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that ends in wet. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
I'm a poet.
You are.
The back might be a little weird.
Uh-oh.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with a weird back.
I mean, there is by definition.
It's Brettanomyces. It's always going to have a weird back.
Yeah, but not in a good way. The front of it tastes like, Caleb, remind me, who is it that makes those thick neck bottles we liked through the brambles? Sweetwater. Yeah, thank you. The front tastes like Sweetwater, which is great. I mean, that's on a path to a 5. The back, though, has a little bit of aluminum to it, honestly. Like it kind of dies at the back, and then it's got a little bit of like this set in a tank for a while and picked up some.
Is it in a bottle?
Funk. Yeah.
Ooh, aluminum in a bottle is weird.
It's weird. And maybe that's I don't know. So it's a 4. I mean, the front's really good and on its way to delicious, and then it rounds off really badly. That's why I went back to it a few times. So it's a 4, which if my memory serves, is a spiced apple tea, which I highly recommend for your tea purposes. And on that note, we're into Ask Mixed 6. What are we talking about?
Joey Rogers asks, what goes into choosing a good pet name? I mean a name for an animal, not some cutesy nickname for your partner. I want to thank Joey for not expecting us to name your romantic partners playfully. That is awkward and not someplace I am prepared to go. So good caveat of the year 2021 goes to Joey Rogers. Good job, Joey. Anyway, pets as in animals. How do we name them?
It's possible that Joey heard the segment where Stephen Lee asked us to name things for him, and within mere minutes I had come up with General Lee. And so maybe Joey thought I would prefer they not name things for me, but instead talk about their conventions for naming.
Yeah,
which
you are very bad.
Perhaps Joey is just a good learner here. So pet names. You know what? This is coming from someone who grew up in a conventional pet name household. So I grew up with 2 Westies, Yoda and Gizmo. So my mom liked stuff. I'm surprised one of them wasn't named Pennywise, for Christ's sake. So my mom liked stuff, and then she named her fuzzy little dogs after fuzzy little things that she liked, which I thought was like, okay, fine, that's how this works. And then out of nowhere, as I get older, we get a Gadget and a Bart. Just out of nowhere. And this isn't some reference to
Gadget and Bart from The Simpsons.
Nope. Just mom liked those names. She just liked those names. And so for me, naming pets was a real narrow path that got womp ratted pretty quickly in my life. And so now I'm of the opinion that everything's on the table.
Well, sure.
Go ahead.
I was just saying the main thing is that it's something that's easy to say when you're screaming that looking for your lost pet in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's the only rule.
Yeah, so it can't be something you would easily trip out on your words. Seashells or something like that. Don't do something that would be Shelly she sells, something like that. Don't do that. Don't make it too long. I mean, a couple no more than 4 or 5 syllables, I would think. But yeah, something that's yellable. That's the main criteria.
I think that's the only rule. And then beyond that, you should eschew rules. As long as you're willing to yell it, let it be the first thing that comes into your head. I've had animals named nonsense strings of syllables. I've had animals named after bits of furniture I've seen or parts of different animals. I've had animals named after different animals.
You have a cat named Splenda.
I have a cat named after a condiment. And his mother was based on a particularly drunken comment that Mel Gibson made. So you got to just go all out, but you got to be ready to yell it aloud, like producer Ross says. Just do not be bound by tradition, except your ability to scream it into the night sky in what is a lament, because your pet is missing. So yeah, as long as you're willing to,
or you're disappointed in the pet, and
maybe they're doing something to drop to your knees or angrily
scold.
No, put that down in that voice. It's good.
I would encourage you, in terms of the act of naming, I would encourage you to look deep into your pet's eyes, and it'll tell you its name. And that's how we
don't look deep into Murray's eyes. He will bite your.
That's how we ended up with Murray.
He finds that very challenging. Yeah.
And he looked at me and I went, yeah, his name's Murray. Okay, I get it. I get you, Murray.
Murray like a David Mamet character, like in a sequel to Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah, Murray wants the fucking leads.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now. From your face.
Gotta watch out. Watch out. Stay on your toes.
It's actually okay to have a long name if it's something that can be abbreviated. Like Mayor Fuzzlebottom is a good cat name, but like you could just call him Fuzzle or Fuzz or Fuzzlebottom
or Bottom.
Yeah.
Our Roomba is named Herbert Hoover, but we just refer to him as Mr. President or the Prez.
Roombas are not pets. They are robots.
Okay, fuck you bioconservative.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm living here in the future.
Did not see that coming from producer Ross.
Why don't you go drink tea with your backwards ways?
You can love your Roomba. You just have to recognize it's not a.
I'll be here in my cyberpunk future with my pet Roomba, Mr. President.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, to Ross's point, what's next? People marrying their dogs,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. All right. Way to slippery slope me.
You did this. You did this. And you know what we tried to do? We tried to clean up the slippery slope, and you told us that wasn't a pet.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're on the wrong side of history here, Peyton. Right?
Name your pets after rhetorical fallacies. Come here, just for real fallacy. Come here, just for yeah.
Wow, that's pretty dark.
Yeah,
it's like a Murakami novel. Okay.
I will say reptile names are best named after samurai or Japanese actors who depict samurai. Just in general, from personal experience. Yeah,
I'm gonna take your word on that one.
Yeah,
got a lot of hard and fast rules here.
Yep. All right, you've been told. Good job, Joey.
Yeah. For those of you that were gonna go pet your Roomba, just remember not to love it.
I love it. Just recognize it's not a pet.
Caleb, what are you drinking there?
We're drinking the 4x4 Brewing Company's Smooth Criminal Double Dry Hopped Double India Pale Ale.
That's too many doubles.
Well, it's 4x4.
Get it?
So
they do a whole. They play with
works on lots of levels there.
Multiple levels.
For those of you that don't know, 4x4 is a local brewery here in Old Springtown, Missouri, and honestly has a really nice little game room, beer hall vibe, outdoor space. I'm a 4x4 fan, and it's right around the corner from my office, if and when I ever go back to my office.
Yeah. I like their stuff.
I'm going to give that a 3.
Yeah, that feels, most of their stuff's a 3 to me. They also do blends, which I really appreciate.
It's a very strong...
the blends are better, in my opinion, but yeah.
What's the pine needle-y one?
Very
strong Simcoe up front.
Sierra Nevada, maybe?
Yeah, it's very strong Simcoe hop up front and then sort of vacant in the back end. It sort of hollows out in a space where you would expect there to be another flavor if this is a blank IPA, but it's just a double IPA. So it's just like, wow, like very loud up front and then nothing. So I'm going to call that a 3. Yeah.
Feels right. And I guess the good news is if it were something on the back, it'd be too much in the other direction too.
Yeah, I'm awake now. I'll give it that much. I don't know why. I don't know why my attention has been brought to this beer, but you have it. So I guess dropping a book does the same thing, but okay. I'm here now. Drinking a beer.
I am here now.
3. Yeah. Anyway, it's Living with Humans, your number 2 vote getter, and we hear from our favorite listeners.
Best listener.
Who is definitely real. Ukulele Herskovenia. Ukulele Herskovenia suggests in Living with Humans, talk about the concept of social engineering and where it crops up in your lives. Have you ever thought, I'm going to social engineer the crap out of the situation, or something similar? Alternatively, share your thoughts about social engineering as a concept, whether in social sciences or information security, in a humanities fight. Which of you is or would be the better at social engineering, using or recognizing? I think Spencer's the natural candidate here, given his marketing chops. But as Caleb's job is toiling to turn kids into adults, he might shoot that one down. Feel free to test this with a challenge, like first one to get their chosen sound effect in the podcast wins. Man, that's a lot to process, ukulele, but thank you for the question. So what do you think? I think you're definitely better at it. I'm not going to pretend.
Mm-hmm.
You could sell ice cubes to Eskimos in Alaska. Yeah, as my father would say. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't. So I spent a lot of time as a debater and a debate coach, and that is a setting wherein one of your, if not your primary job, is to social engineer, right? Either kind of like social engineering what other people might say as a response if you're thinking far enough ahead in the game, or social engineering how other people might perceive the value of your claim as compared to. And so in some ways, I spent a lot of time talking and thinking about those things. And I don't know if it's because of that I am expressly anti this approach to things now, or if I was never pro this approach other than to say, like, I understood it was part of the game. I cannot think of a recent memory where I thought I'm going to social engineer the crap out of this. It's just like not how my brain works, I guess. But I would tell you that...
Is that also the same as like not even recognizing that's how you move through the world right now because you're that good at it?
I don't think so. I don't think it's like I think it's kind of the other issue, which is I spend so much of my energy only interacting, generally trying to only interact with and be in situations that are like, that I'm like pretty happy about, or that feel very like comfortable or natural to me. Mm-hmm. And that may in and of itself be like just peak social engineering. But for the most part, I try not to be in situations where I have to feel the need to do those things.
Well, I mean, maybe one of the things you should think about is thinking of it as social engineering is maybe something that most people wouldn't do. But like, for example, have you ever played Matchmaker? Have you ever tried to get two people you think that would be good together to get to date to each other or introduce them? Have you ever had to deal with, let's say, a relative who you can't just tell what to do, but you want them to do something or not to do something, and you've tried to like engineer it so that they would do the action you think would be better? Or have you ever had to do seating charts at a dinner where you know that this person likes this person or anything like that? So I mean, those are all social engineering situations. Okay, so right. Okay, well, if you haven't done those things,
I don't.
Brandy,
yeah.
Probably yes, probably daily. Yeah. She kind of lives and breathes that stuff. She's also quite good at it, and for the most part,
I don't have a negative connotation to it. I definitely social engineer things. I definitely think about it as social engineering, but I just don't do it very often because I am fundamentally a very apologetic Midwestern boy who has very good, Protestant manners, despite the fact that he was not very welcome in Sunday school class because when you get to beat India, you get to beat India, and it don't go out of you anytime soon. So, but at the same time, Ross and I have talked about this, the act of, as a writer, quietly LARPing in your head as you move through buildings. I socially engineer situations in my head constantly. It is the way I keep myself entertained. It is why I am fond of death traps as plots, and I am fond of persuasive characters. I don't do anything, and I think that is the fundamental difference between social engineering as a intellectual exercise and social engineering as I am a sociopath leeching off everyone else around me. But yeah, Ross has also identified like some utterly benign versions of social engineering that are an absolute must. I mean, it's 2021. If you still have living parents, speaking to them is an act of social engineering. I'm sorry. Like if they have to exist in a news space and you are, as their child, dedicated to constantly keeping a bead on like, oh my God, did they get trumped up? Did the Fox News get them? Or are they still like, well, I got to fight this. I got to say, I heard that Ben Shapiro guy was evil, so they don't turn that on because YouTube's trying to snack. Like, it's an act of social engineering, and I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not going to apologize.
Yeah, you might be onto something there.
For trying. I'm not going to apologize for trying to make sure that my parents don't turn into fucking maggots.
I mean, part of this is definitional. Like, what is social engineering? Like, is onboarding a new employee so that they work well with others in your company social engineering?
Doing it poorly is certainly engineering for failure.
So yeah, like how do you define social engineering? Like what like social engineering as a hacking term is like tricking someone to give you information that they shouldn't give you, like a password. Hey, I'm the repair guy. Give me your password so I can fix your computer. Like,
I do that all the time. It's called going outside while being a leftist. Yeah, of course I do that. Like, I have to navigate in a world where no one wears masks and everyone, like, we have the highest per capita rate of capital fucking rioters by mass of any city in the state, or maybe in the union. Like, it's just an insane number of them. They arrested the fifth one today.
Oh, like, they're up to 5 now in Springfield, huh?
Yeah, like, so it's ridiculous
for us.
what I have to navigate out here. And so, of course, like, when I go to a store and they're just like, fucking Democrats, right, buddy? And I go, yeah, man, I fucking hate him. Of course I do fucking hate him. Not for the reason he wants me to. But yeah, they're fucking useless. But that is social engineering. I'm not going to stop. It's like, actually, I think you're counter-revolutionary and yearn for the day we build a guillotine for people like you reactionary shithead. I'm not going to like start my day off with that level of truth. So yeah, that's social engineering. We do it all the time. Like, it's just interaction with people that don't deserve to know your whole fucking life story because you just got to get through your fucking day. Like, that's social engineering. And I think we all do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at that level of definition, sure. Probably spend a good portion of my day doing that. I think that there's probably a more intentional, targeted, purposeful version of this that I don't really engage in all that often, or certainly I can't think of times that I've engaged in it recently. But yeah, in terms of managing interactions, even at a broad level, for the purposes of surviving as a human.
If I ask how your day was, I don't genuinely want to know most of the time.
Right.
That's part of it. That's part of the structure of the code. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think that feels right. That feels right. Okay. Well, in that case, then sure. Then social engineer away, y'all.
Yeah.
And with that, one more beer. We'll be back.
Producer Ross, what are you drinking?
Breckenridge Brewery, which we have not done before, a Colorado brewery, has released a vanilla porter. And that's its name, just vanilla porter. It's a very,
We've not done a Breckenridge brewery on here. That seems impossible.
I don't think that's true at all, but
that seems impossible.
It's not on the spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet, eh?
Thanks.
Yeah. Only and exclusively.
Thanks for, Bill. That's what he thinks of all your hard work.
Oh no.
Producer Ross on record. The spreadsheet.
This is pretty thin. It's pretty thin and watery for a porter. I don't really
like spread shit.
Yeah, I like spread shit. I mean, I'll keep drinking it, but yeah, this is a 2. What is that? A lemon ginger tea?
It is a lemon ginger tea.
So I'll finish it, but it's just kind of thin and like there's not much vanilla in it. It's kind of a generic porter. And
I don't like many of their beers.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good beer up there. That's not one of them.
Yeah, it's pretty forgettable. So yeah, a 2.
So I proposed this drunk enough because, because we're coming out of like an Arctic attack. An Arctic attack, is that what we would call the last?
I would call it an Arctic storm. I would call Texas an Arctic attack.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah. We hit -13, just the temperature, not the wind chill, just -13 flat last week. And over the course of like 2 to 3 days, got 10 inches of snow. And
rolling blackouts. That was
rolling
fun.
blackouts across the city. And under that,
At least they were rolling.
That's exactly right. Not static. Under that snow, because it happened over time, over a couple of days, was a really great layer of ice too. So the whole city really was shut down. And that might not sound like much to you. Like sometimes we make jokes about Springfield and what Springfield's like, but I just want to be clear. If you're kind of thinking like, well, it's not probably weird to be shut down right now because there's a pandemic, so places are shut down. I want to be clear. Springfield is not shut down. Like we're
in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right. Just drive
not
past
even
the
masked.
mall.
Yeah.
Right. And it just looks like the mall is what I'm saying. So we genuinely had, and even though our local school systems are doing kind of like a half virtual, half in-person learning environment.
Just because they don't want to make up days.
That's exactly
Which
right.
means we're not doing anything. Don't let the shit fool you.
We generally had shit shut down last week, like old fashioned snow days and stuff. And it's been a while for that. And of course, there was some panic in our household out of that stuff because when the school shut down, the Boys and Girls Club have new expectations. So of course, Brandy was kind of on her toes the whole week trying to figure out what their obligations would be. But all of that to say, it got me thinking about, and Brandy and I talking about an awful lot, the nostalgia of the snow day and how different it must be now in 2021 for students who are doing like a lot of school from home. I mean, even though they're getting on Zoom calls and whatever, and they're still doing school, I cannot think of many things that have a more centering, like bring me back to a specific place in a specific time, sitting in a specific location, kind of Ratatouille nostalgia-esque effect than snow days when we were growing up. And maybe my recollection of like the nostalgic power of a snow day is weird. But am I wrong here that a snow day was a special event when we were growing up? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it still is for me. I mean,
sure.
I'm not gonna lie. Like teachers like them too. But yeah, I had the same thing because when I was a kid, since both my parents were teachers, being sick was nearly impossible. Like I could be dying and my mom would get your fucking ass in the car right now. But a snow day we did actually have off. So it was a day to play hooky because hooky for me was fucking impossible. It was either death or you were at school. So yeah, snow days were magical. Yeah.
They were magical, right? And like
communism is most people get snow days. I'm telling you.
Right. You would get up earlier than you would normally get up for school and sit there and watch a scroll along the bottom of whatever local news channel was your preferred local news channel in the household. And you would just anxiously wait and hope that as the alphabet got closer to where your school or district would be named, that you would see over time. And then you would start doing that kind of like math in your head. Like snow days maybe where like most kids started to learn about like probabilities and reasoning. Like, okay, well, if this one and this one gets canceled, we're also getting canceled. So then you'd start to look for like satellite communities. And I got to thinking the other day, like, I don't know that those were formative. I don't know that it had like a real meaningful thing. Like, I don't know that it shaped me in some weird way, but hot damn, like now when school gets canceled, text messages go out, information is disseminated across phones quickly and swiftly. We had none of that bullshit. And this isn't like walking uphill both ways, kind of like woe is me story. It's like, I wonder about the things
today don't have the Weather Channel music.
Right. Like the things
poor
that were, it was as much a part of the school year, right? And as like going to school was. And I worry now, like, I don't worry. It's whatever. I mean, I think kids today will generally be better off than any of us were in a lot of different ways. I wonder about what can you decouple what we could consider mutual or shared going to school experience. And we were all going to school at roughly the same periods of time. Mm-hmm. Can you decouple that experience from the snow day experience and still get one without the other? Is there a way to constitute similarity among going to school shared experience when that was such, to me, like, I remember snow day shit about as much as I remember what I learned in, like all of sixth grade history. I don't even know what we covered that year. I remember the snow days we occurred that year. And so it's just weird to me. It was striking to me last week how powerful that historical anchor was for me. Mm-hmm. And also how sad I got for kids today who might not encounter those things. And I don't know, maybe that's still the thing, Caleb. I don't know. Maybe kids still get that.
Kids still get snow days. Like weather still exists. So like if they can't go to school, they can't go to school. So
it's not, but it's not just the snow day. It's the dissemination of information.
So that very specific Weather Channel experience. Yeah.
I don't want to shit on anyone's parade.
Oh no.
Very sad. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
I don't want to shit on. Snow days are magical, but I think they're gone, buddy. I'm sorry. We gotta.
Right. That's the thing. Like, I think it's over.
Yeah. With AMI days are now a result of COVID legislation. What that says is if for a high school level student and less time from down from there, if you have 15 minutes of online instruction available, not used, available to the student in any way, per hour per day. So that is 15 times 7. If you have that much content that people can access, they don't actually have to look at it, but can access per day, you can count that student as in attendance. You can get their full attendance money, and you can count that as a day of school that you had, meaning that's a day of school you don't have to make up in the summer, where cooling costs for the air conditioning are actually even worse than the heating costs in a lot of buildings. So guess what? Snow days are over. Man. In the fact that like you're not expected to like go to school. You're going to not be expected to go to school, but you're going to be expected to do homework, which you won't actually do because no one does. But it will be counted as a day. And it will be used by Republicans to shave more off the public school budget because you're not going to have to make up snow days anymore. They will be AMI days. And I assure you, the second COVID is cured, this will be ingrained in law and never go anywhere ever again because it's a way to save money on schools. And we live in Missouri. So
no more snow days. America is a failed state.
So this is a result of COVID then? Like
this is a result of the COVID legislation, but when have you known a Republican to give back a social safety net once cut?
So kids who are growing up are still going to have that memory up until if they were going to school.
They're going to have that memory of staying home from school.
Well, no, I'm talking about 2019 and earlier. So like,
but it was from a casualty. Now on, they're going to have a memory of staying home from school and either A, going to a good school where you're actually expected to do that work and you have that sort of maintenance at home. So it's not going to be a day off. It's going to be a day in front of your computer where everything is harder and you have way more anxiety and you're not with your friends. Or what other kids are going to do from different homes, that's going to be a day where you don't go to school, you don't do fucking anything, and that just means it's time wiped off your school year. And those kids with climate change will regularly be going to school in terms of actual attendance time. Take your pick. 52% of the time, 60% of the time, maybe 80% if they just miss because of weather, but they're probably going to miss a lot more because of shitty parents, not being forced to get on the bus, but they're still going to have their attendance counted. So there is literally no financial incentive for the school to get that child to the building. So expect school whenever the fuck you feel like it, if you do. And that's the future now, snow or not. Yeah. Okay. At least in Missouri, I can assure you that's the way it's going to go down because Republicans.
Yeah. And this is how we make revolutionaries, Roy Blunt. This is how you did this.
I don't know. Hearing John Ashcroft sing really radicalized me towards
beautiful.
That's the day I woke up and chose violence. Yeah. But yeah, that's snow days. I'm sorry.
So sad.
Why do people call me a pessimist? I don't understand where that comes from.
I think
no.
I really you have no idea.
I got nothing.
No clue.
I'm a babe.
What do you think that portmanteau is? What is that? Pessimism and Marxism?
Oh man, peso.
Maybe fish. Kind of
like a pesca. Do you think you've been a little pessimistic?
It means money in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So peso.
You really
marks? I'm making marks of the pesos, so it's like a really good like he getting paid nickname.
You really you that's your best interpretation of that?
Yeah, Caleb, you mean Mr. Pesos? Yeah, that's what they say.
You really think that? Okay, all right.
Start an Amazon, Mr. Pesos.
Listeners, let us know. What do you think peso Marxism means? Is Caleb maybe need a little help with his analysis there? We'll find out.
Talking about.
Couldn't possibly be true.
Yeah,
the man's a writer. He gets a language. Thank you,
Master of English.
Oh, okay.
They gave me the degree.
I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards.
Hey, that's the end of this episode. What started with a bang ends with no snow days. So we hope you're not as sad as we are about the future of this country. Hey, thanks for listening. And if you're not already checking us out, don't forget that there's a hell of a lot more content on Patreon where you can sign up to listen to a bunch of additional Mix 6 episodes. And you can get access to our Mix 6 Discord where you can talk with other listeners, help plan the episode, and roast us for all of the things we say in an incredibly kind and caring community made for making fun of us. Don't forget to check us out on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you forget any of that, use the internet, www.themix6.com. And if you're listening to this into a podcast streaming application, don't forget to rate and review us so other people can find the Mix 6 podcast. And with that, I am Spencer.
Piss on Rush Limbaugh's grave.
We'll talk to you next time.